There is a pattern behind people who secretly hate having guests over. Most people assume they're simply introverted, private, maybe even antisocial. Psychology suggests something much more interesting. They don't fear people. They fear what happens to their home the moment someone else walks inside. Because in an instant, the place that felt safe quietly becomes something else. Not a home, a performance. Someone asks if they can come over, and before you even answer, your stomach drops. Not because you dislike them, not because you don't enjoy spending time together, but because the second they walk through that door, your home stops feeling like yours. It becomes something to be evaluated. Watch carefully what happens during the hour before someone arrives. You tell yourself you're simply getting the house ready, straightening the cushions, putting dishes away, wiping the kitchen counter. Completely normal things. But if you pay close attention, another pattern quietly appears. You're no longer seeing your home through your own eyes. You're borrowing someone else's. That unopened pile of mail, the shoes by the entrance, the wrinkle in the blanket, the fingerprints on the refrigerator, the smell from last night's dinner, the tiny layer of dust you've ignored for weeks. None of it bothered you 30 minutes ago. Now it's suddenly impossible not to notice, almost as if another person has already entered the room before they've even arrived. Most people assume this is simply what being a considerate host looks like. But notice the emotion underneath it. It doesn't feel like excitement. It doesn't even feel like generosity. It feels like dread. And that's the hidden clue. Genuine hospitality usually feels like looking forward to seeing someone. This feels much closer to preparing for an inspection. Because somewhere along the way, your home quietly stopped being a place where you lived. It became a place where you were judged. That's the pattern most people never notice. This isn't actually about cleanliness. Plenty of people with cluttered homes happily invite friends over every weekend. They apologize once, everyone laughs, the evening continues. No anxiety, no endless cleaning, no panic. So the mess itself can't be the real problem. The real question is this: what has your home come to represent? For many people, home was supposed to be the one place where performance finally ended. No audience, no evaluation, no need to impress anyone. Just one place where you could exist exactly as you are, without explanation, without proving anything. But for many people, that wasn't the lesson home taught. If you grew up in an environment where appearances carried emotional weight, where visitors meant everyone suddenly had to act right, where cleaning wasn't just about comfort, but what other people might think, your nervous system quietly learned something. The house wasn't just a place to live, it was evidence. Evidence that your family was responsible. Evidence that everything was under control. Evidence that you were acceptable. You may never have heard anyone say those exact words. You didn't have to. Children become experts at learning rules nobody ever explains out loud. So years later, a guest no longer feels like someone visiting your home. They feel like someone reading your report card. And without realizing it, you begin grading yourself before they ever have the chance. Here's what makes this pattern so exhausting. It usually isn't about the guest. Think about the people you've worried about inviting over. Your closest friends probably weren't planning to inspect your bookshelf, or judge your bathroom mirror, or count the dishes in your sink. Yet your body often reacts as though they will. Why? Because they represent something much larger than themselves. They represent an outside perspective entering the one environment where you normally don't have to defend yourself. Which means your anxiety has surprisingly little to do with the actual condition of your home. It has much more to do with what you've unconsciously learned your home says about you. Clean home, responsible person. Beautiful home, successful person. Messy home, failing somehow. Nobody may have ever spoken those sentences directly, but somewhere your mind quietly accepted them as true. And once your environment becomes evidence, the job is never actually finished, because evidence can always be improved. One more room,
One more shelf, one more stain, one more corner, one more thing someone might notice. That's why the relief never lasts. The fear was never really about dust, it was about judgment. Psychologists often describe something called self-evaluation through external standards. Instead of asking, "Does my home feel peaceful to me?" the question quietly becomes, "What will this make someone think about me?" Those questions sound almost identical, but psychologically they're worlds apart. One comes from preference, the other comes from performance. One creates comfort, the other creates endless pressure. Notice something else. There is nothing wrong with wanting your home to feel welcoming. There's nothing wrong with cleaning, decorating, organizing, creating a beautiful space. None of those things are the problem. The pattern changes when your home quietly becomes responsible for proving your worth. Because homes were designed to shelter people, not identities. The healthiest homes don't prove who you are, they support who you are. That's an enormous psychological difference. Try something interesting the next time someone says they're coming over. Don't immediately start cleaning. Not yet. Instead, pause. Notice the very first thought that appears. Is it, "I hope they feel comfortable here," or is it, "I hope they don't think less of me"? Those sound similar, but they're actually two completely different hosts. One is preparing a place, the other is preparing a defense. Only one of them can actually enjoy the visit. Eventually, another pattern quietly begins to emerge. You stop asking, "What will they notice?" and begin asking, "Why does their opinion suddenly feel more important than my experience inside my own home?" That single question changes everything, because awareness begins separating hospitality from performance. You can still care, you can still tidy up, you can still light a candle, sweep the floor, arrange the pillows, but now you're doing it because it makes your space feel good, not because you're trying to earn permission to relax inside it. Over time, your nervous system begins learning something remarkable. Not every visitor is a judge. Not every opinion is a verdict. Not every glance around the room is an evaluation of your life. Sometimes people are simply happy to see you, and they notice far less than the stories you've been telling yourself. There is one final pattern worth remembering. The people who genuinely enjoy having guests over aren't always the people with the cleanest homes. They're often the people who stopped believing their home had to prove something about them. Because the moment your house stops being evidence, it quietly becomes a home again. And that's where real hospitality begins. Not in perfection, but in permission. Permission to let people meet you instead of your performance. See what others miss.